Not all records are meant to be broken, and the NFL is a perfect example of this. A lot of NFL records are untouchable in today's league for a variety of reasons, such as the playing style or simply the career length it would take to achieve these records. In today's video, we're going to discuss NFL records that will never be broken. But before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now let's begin. The first record that will never be broken is Brett Favre's interception record. He threw 336 interceptions in his career, and he threw more than 20 interceptions in a season 6 times. Aside from his rookie season where he threw just 4 passes, he only threw under 10 interceptions once in his career, and it was with the Vikings in 2009. Brett is the only quarterback above 280 interceptions, and his playstyle reflected why he's here. He was a gunslinger by every definition, and this record will never be touched. Jameis Winston just threw 30 interceptions in 2019, and he has 88 in his career. It would take Jameis for the pace he's been on through 5 years of his career until the 2034 season to break this record, and simply put, he would be long out of the league by then. Favre played 302 games in the NFL, and for comparison, Drew Brees has played 275. While 275 does not equal 302, it is close enough, and for comparison, Brees has only 237 interceptions. Favre's record will never be touched in today's efficient passing league. The next record that will never be touched is Stephen Gostkowski's 479 consecutive extra points made. Gostkowski was a longtime Patriots kicker and was released a few weeks ago. However, he holds a record that, especially in today's age, will never be touched. Of course, these extra points were all done when the point after the touchdown was right near the end zone, rather than a 33-yard extra point, but this is still an impressive record nonetheless. The most accurate kicker in NFL history is the Ravens' current kicker Justin Tucker, and he has missed 3 extra points in the past 2 seasons. This is no Justin Tucker slander or criticism. This just shows if even he can't break the record, then don't expect anyone else to come even close. The only way this ever gets remotely close is if the NFL makes a rule change and moves the extra point back to where it was a few years ago. With it being a 33-yard kick, this is impossible and will never even be close to being touched. The next record that will never be broke is Emmitt Smith's rushing records. Emmitt Smith ran the ball over 4,400 times in his NFL career for over 18,000 yards and 164 rushing touchdowns, and these numbers, especially in today's league, will never be touched. For reference, Frank Gore is only at 15,300 yards and 79 rushing touchdowns, despite playing in the NFL since 2005. That's not a knock on Frank Gore for only being at 15,000, it just shows how many yards this truly is. Gore has averaged over 4 yards in a season just once in the past 5 years, and if he can't get it, then who? Adrian Peterson is at 14-2 and is now 35 years old. To expect Gore at 36 and Peterson at 35 to have 3 or 4 more 1,000-yard years into their late 30s is insane, and I expect both of these players to retire within the next year or two. They are the exception, as players like Todd Gurley, who was once viewed as the next big thing in the NFL, we've seen his knee problems and he's just not the same anymore. Running backs just don't get second contracts anymore, and because of this, these records will never be touched. 4,400 carries is absolutely insane, because this would be a pace of 22 carries per game for a running back for 12 straight seasons. In a world where running backs play at most what seems like 7 to 8 seasons in today's league, this will never happen. 18,000 yards would require 12 straight 1,500-yard seasons, and we all know that is just not a reality in today's league. Even when we go to 17 NFL games, to expect a running back to produce 12 straight 1,500-yard seasons with no injuries, it's just not going to happen. 164 rushing touchdowns is the most feasible out of these 3 records, but even that would require 13 straight 12 rushing touchdown seasons. Yes, Emmitt had a great offensive line, and I'm not going to deny that, but his records are untouchable. The next record that will never be broke is Paul Krause's interception record. Paul Krause had 81 career interceptions during his time in the NFL and had 9 seasons with at least 5 interceptions. Ronnie Lott had 7 seasons like that, and Ed Reed, who is considered the best ball-hawking safety of the 21st century, had 7 as well. Krause also had 2 seasons with at least 10 interceptions, and Lott and Reed combined only had 1. Reed and Lott finished their careers with 64 and 63 interceptions, and didn't come relatively close to the record. Krause played in an era where defensive backs could get away with a lot more than they can in today's era, but another reason this is unbreakable is the quarterbacks were a lot more risky with the football back then. In Paul Krause's rookie year, when he had a career-high 12 interceptions, there were 8 quarterbacks who threw at least 15 interceptions compared to just 5 in 2019. In today's NFL, if a corner or safety is just that good, teams won't even bother going in their direction. An example of this, and don't let him getting burnt in the Super Bowl by Sammy Watkins distract from how dominant of a player he was in his prime, but Richard Sherman. In the 2013 to 2014 area, teams knew where he was going to line up and just wouldn't look his way. Sherman has 35 career interceptions and is a 5-time Pro Bowl corner, but he's not even halfway to Krause's record. If someone in this era of football were to have double-digit interceptions in a year, it would be unheard of, and we could very well have a defensive MVP on our hands. This record of 81 interceptions will never be touched. The final record that will never be broke is Jerry Rice's receiving yards and touchdowns records. Jerry Rice had a combination of a Hall of Fame work ethic, Hall of Fame ability, and Hall of Fame quarterbacks throwing him the ball, and it all culminated in records that will never be touched. 22,895 yards will never be touched, and neither will 197 receiving touchdowns. It would take 13 seasons of 15 receiving touchdowns to get this, and although we are in a passing era more than ever, it's just not going to happen. For reference on this, Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, and Julio have a combined 2 seasons of 15 touchdowns, where Jerry had 5 alone. The near 23,000 receiving yards is insanely impressive, as Rice had 14 1,000-yard seasons. The number 2 player on the receiving yards all-time list is Larry Fitzgerald, and he just surpassed the 17,000 mark at 36 years old. For a player to even sniff the 22,000 mark, and don't get me wrong, Larry is a first-ballot Hall of Famer, but he's not even close to the record. A player would have to get into the NFL at a very young age and produce immediately for at least a decade and a half. It would take NFL draft prospect Jerry Jeudy, who was 21 at the time, 16 straight seasons of 1,400 yards to get this record, and for that reason, this record is unbreakable. Even with the 17th game added, Jerry's record will stand for more than likely eternity, and he is considered the GOAT for a reason. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you missed it last video, I will be doing giveaways in the near future, and you won't want to miss out on that. So follow me on Twitter at Football Analysis and subscribe to the channel. And if you're still watching, I appreciate the time out of your day, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.